During a typical week, probably 3 days, I get out. If I was to walk down to the creek, probably at least an hour. Up the mountains, I'd probably go up there for at least 2 hours. And when I'm on the ski mountain, I'd say at least 3 hours. What do I mostly do? If I'm by the creek, I'm just hanging out, watching the water flow, enjoying the sounds, the smells. I feel great. I mean, it's always nice to be outside. You feel less trapped. You know, you can breathe fresh air, think clear thoughts. You're never really distracted by anything. When you're inside, you always have some sort of distraction, whether it's just lights or something on the wall, this plant. Yeah, there's always something to distract you, and you can't really think as clear as you would when you're outside. This last weekend, my brother and I hiked up. Well, we took the lift to the top of this, one of the tallest peaks, and then we hiked above there to the way top. Even just getting up there was very tough because the air is so thin, you can barely breathe, and it was like a 20-minute hike, but felt like we were hiking for like an hour once you got up there. And once we finally got up, there was kind of this point, and you could see for like 360 degrees around you, these mountains. The opposite of nature would probably be some sort of artificial entertainment or pleasure from something made from technology, I'd say. So something I would do probably is video games. I feel most comfortable either on the ski mountains or somewhere in a body of water. I've grown up skiing since I was about 5. The time I've really been immersed in nature when I was in the ocean would be scuba diving. And I dove in and looked to my left, and about like 100 yards away was like a 7.5 foot reef shark. And it was kind of like, it was like heading my direction, and as I kind of looked at it, it did like a big loop and went around. And it was only probably 10 feet off the coast, off the shoreline. So being high up or deep in the ocean would be my coolest, or my favorite environment. Being far below most people or high above most people is kind of this nostalgic feeling. Just kind of Earth's wonders, you know. You don't really, so much of this Earth we barely see, and most of it is near sea level. So there's just a lot of cool stuff that's hard to get to. It makes it better once you get there. Being alone in nature is where you kind of connect the most. I went skiing alone last weekend. When you're skiing, you're enjoying everything. You're enjoying the trees that you're going through or the snow, but you're also at the same time worrying about someone else and always looking back, making sure they're following you, making sure they're okay. So not having to do that was really cool. Just to be able to go at my own pace and look at things that I wanted. Just the way that you're completely enclosed. You can't talk to people. You barely have any sounds because you're underwater. So that kind of gives this alone feeling, and I think that's where I can really connect with nature the most, just because it's so quiet and everything's moving slowly. You're moving very slowly, and like you're able to take things in a lot easier. I mean, I've always had a love for nature, but I didn't really make the connection of how you treat it affecting it so suddenly and abruptly. And so water is an essential, and I also usually will bring a camera when I go places like that, because they're usually so spectacular that you don't want to forget them. Yeah, I think it's good to bring very little when you go out to places like that. I don't know, little games and stuff. It kind of just brings you away from what you're trying to do. I've always been into climbing, and climbing trees was always kind of my thing. This place called Mount Rumney. It's a very famous climbing mountain. And we'd go up there, just him and I, and hike about 2 miles into the woods and start setting up these climbing gear and everything, get ready to go, and he'd belay me, I'd belay him. Bouldering is cool because you get to do it a lot. You get to try something over and over again and like start from the beginning and keep trying it. And then rope climbing is really this long, much longer experience where you're really like figuring out the moves as you go. You don't really see it from the bottom. You kind of gotta keep thinking as you go.